Chosen one, stop. Right now. Whatever you were doing before this moment, whatever thought was pulling your attention somewhere else, whatever tab was competing for your focus, let all of it go. Not because I'm asking you to, because something in you already knows that what is about to happen in this message is not something you can afford to half receive. You did not find this video. I need you to sit with that for a second before we go any further. You did not find this. Out of everything in your feed, out of every piece of content competing for your attention, out of every video, every scroll, every distraction available to you in this moment, this found you. With a precision that has nothing to do with an algorithm and everything to do with a God who's been watching your life with the kind of intimate, specific, deeply personal attention that most people spend their entire lives wondering if they will ever experience. He sees you, not the version of you that you present to the world, not the composed, functioning, showing up and getting through it version. The real you, the one that lies awake at 3 a.m. feeling something you cannot name. The one that has been sensing for weeks, maybe months, that something is shifting but cannot yet see what. The one that has been carrying a weight that has no logical explanation, because from the outside everything looks manageable, but on the inside something feels like it is suspended, like the world is holding its breath waiting for something to happen. That feeling is not anxiety. That feeling is spiritual perception. And what your spirit has been sensing is exactly what this message is about. They are approaching fast, not slowly, not gradually, not in a way that will give you time to prepare or organize yourself or get your affairs in order before they arrive. Fast, with the kind of sudden no announcement, no warning, no countdown timer velocity that only divine movements carry. The things that have your name written on them. The promises that were spoken over your life before you were born. The breakthroughs, the connections, the doors, the shifts, the restorations that you have been waiting for so long that some days you wondered if waiting was all there was left. They're on their way right now, and they will not knock first. But before I say another word, I need to address something urgently. Something that is happening in the spiritual realm right now, as you watch this, that you need to be aware of. The enemy knows you are watching this video, and he is terrified, not because he has power over what is coming to your life. He does not. He never did. But he knows what shifts in you the moment you receive the full revelation of this message. He knows that the chosen one who watches this to the very end walks away from it permanently changed, permanently repositioned, permanently aligned with everything that has been approaching their life with no signs and no warnings. And so he's going to try something right now. He is not going to block this video from reaching you. He already lost that battle. The light of Christ fought through his interference to get this message in front of your eyes at exactly this moment. That battle is already over and he lost. So his strategy has shifted. He is not trying to prevent you from starting. He is trying to prevent you from finishing. And here is exactly how he is going to try to do it. In the next few minutes, maybe even in the next few seconds, you're going to feel an urge, a restlessness, a sudden thought that says this is too long. I will come back to it later. Or I have heard this kind of thing before. Or something else needs my attention right now. Or this is not for me specifically. Chosen one, I need you to recognize what that is. That is not your own thought. That is not your logical mind being reasonable. That is not healthy discernment about how to spend your time. That is the jealous energy of every force that has ever had a vested interest in keeping you exactly where you are, confused about who you are, unaware of what is coming, unprepared to receive what is approaching. That urge to stop, that manufactured restlessness, that whisper saying skip ahead or close this and do it later, that is the enemy's fingerprints all over your mind. And here's why he is so desperate for you to stop. Because this message is not a general encouragement for anyone who happens to stumble across it. This message is a divine orchestration. Jesus himself is asking you to stay until the very end of this. Not because he needs your viewership, because he knows what becomes available to you the moment you receive this word completely. He knows what unlocks in the spiritual realm over your life when you choose to stay through every minute of this divine appointment. He knows that the version of you that finishes this message is not the same version that started it. And the enemy knows it too. So every time you feel that urge to click away, every time that restlessness rises, every time a thought says this is not for you, or you can finish it later, recognize it for what it is. Jealous energy, poverty consciousness, the spirit of lack trying to rob you of the very divine meeting that Jesus arranged specifically for you in this moment. Resist it. With everything in you, resist it. This is your test. And chosen one, you have passed harder tests than this. You have held on through seasons that would have broken most people. You have maintained faith through silences that lasted years. You can resist an urge to click away from a video. Stay. Every second you stay is a declaration to heaven that you receive what is being sent. Every minute you choose this over the distraction is a spiritual act of alignment with everything that is approaching your life right now. Jesus is asking you to stay, and the breakthrough waiting on the other side of this message is worth every second. Now let me tell you what the last few weeks have actually felt like for you. Because I need you to know that what you have been experiencing is not random. It is not you falling apart. It is not evidence that something is wrong with you. What you have been walking through has a name and an explanation and a purpose that the enemy has been working very hard to keep you from understanding. The atmosphere around you has been heavy, not in the obvious ways, not falling apart dramatically or visibly crumbling in ways that would at least give you something concrete to point to and address. Heavy in the subtle, suffocating, impossible to explain to anyone else way. The kind of heaviness where you move through your normal routines, show up to your normal responsibilities, say the normal things you're supposed to say, but everything feels like it is happening at a slight remove. Like you're watching your own life from one step behind. Like the world is moving in regular time, and you got stuck in something thicker, slower, and visible that no one else around you seems to notice or feel. You've been waking up at strange hours, 3 in the morning, for 30, lying in the dark with your eyes wide open and your heart beating just slightly faster than it should for no reason you can identify. Not panic exactly, not dread exactly, something more like heightened awareness. Like some part of you that operates below conscious thought is on alert. Like your spirit knows something your mind has not caught up to yet, and it is running in the background processing something too large and too important to wait for daylight. And in those quiet hours, in the dark, when there is nothing to distract you from your own inner knowing, you feel it most clearly. The sense of suspension, the feeling of being caught between two places, the life that is behind you, the old season, the old patterns, the old version of your circumstances that is behind you now, even if you're still standing in its aftermath. And the life that is ahead of you, the promised season, the fulfilled version, the reality that matches what God has been speaking over you. You can sense it. You can feel it approaching, but you cannot yet see it. You cannot yet touch it. and you're standing in a gap between those two realities in a space that feels like holding your breath indefinitely. That is where you are, and that space that's suspended in between place where you cannot see either shore, that is not evidence that something went wrong. That is the most specific, precisely targeted spiritual address you could possibly be standing at right now. Because it means you are close. So close that what is approaching can already be felt before it can be seen. So close that your spirit is registering its arrival before your natural senses have any evidence to confirm it. So close that the enemy has had to escalate his interference because running out the clock no longer feels like a viable strategy. You're not stuck. You are positioned. And everything you have been feeling is simply the sensation of arriving at exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Now I need to talk to you about something that happened recently. Maybe this week. Maybe in the last few days. There was a moment, maybe more than one, where something came at you without warning. A situation that exploded in your face, demanding an immediate response. A provocation that lit up every nerve in your body. A moment where you had every right, every justification, every reasonable human reason to react. To speak up, to fight back, to defend yourself loudly and thoroughly and with everything you had. The adrenaline surged. The words lined up in your throat, ready to go. Every instinct fired at once, telling you to respond, to set the record straight, to make sure people knew exactly what was happening and exactly who was wrong. And you did not. Something stopped you. Something you cannot fully explain even to yourself. A pause, a breath, a pulling back from the edge at the very last second. A choice to stay quiet when every part of you wanted to choose war. A decision to walk away even though walking away felt like swallowing glass. And afterward, in the quiet when the heat died down and you were alone with your thoughts, you probably did what most chosen ones do in that moment. You questioned yourself. You told yourself you were weak, that you should have spoken up, that your silence cost you something that you let them win, that staying quiet was the same as losing, that you had every right to react and you chose not to, and now you would carry the weight of the unspoken truth indefinitely. But chosen one, I need to tell you something about that moment that is going to reframe everything. What you called weakness was a weapon. What you called losing was winning in a dimension the enemy never saw coming. What felt like walking away was actually you making the final move in a strategy that heaven has been running for longer than you know. That silence, that restraint, that decision to hold your ground without detonating was not you missing your moment. It was you completing something. And completion in the kingdom of God is what triggers release. You did not delay your breakthrough when you stayed quiet. You sealed it. Nahum 1 verse 9 declares it plainly. Will you conspire against the Lord? He will make an utter end of it. Affliction will not rise up a second time. Affliction will not rise up a second time. The enemy wanted you to believe that your silence was a reset button, that you're going back to square one, that the cycle was starting over. But the word of God says the opposite. Affliction does not get a second loop. What you are walking through is not a repetition. It is a conclusion, and conclusions do not cycle back. They end permanently, completely, with a finality so thorough that what was cannot return. The weight you are feeling is not the beginning of another round. It is the end of the last one. Now, let me explain what is actually approaching your life. Because chosen one, this is the heart of everything. They are approaching fast. And I use the word they deliberately because what is coming to your life is not a single thing. It is not just one blessing or one door or one opportunity or one answered prayer arriving in isolation. It is a convergence, a simultaneous, coordinated, divinely orchestrated arrival of multiple things that have been in motion in the spiritual realm for far longer than you have been aware of. Think about what happens when a storm system forms. It does not start at your front door. It forms hundreds of miles away, out of sight, out of awareness, in conditions that seem unrelated to where you are standing. Individual elements, temperature, pressure, moisture, wind patterns, each developing separately, each moving on its own trajectory. And then at a specific point, an appointed convergence, they all arrive together. And when they do, the impact is not additive. It is exponential, each element multiplying the power of every other until what arrives is not the sum of the individual parts, but something categorically more powerful than any of them could have been alone. That is what is approaching your life right now. Not a single breakthrough, a convergence of everything that has been forming separately, developing out of your sight, moving on its own trajectory in the unseen realm, all arriving together at the appointed intersection point. The financial provision that has been forming, the relationship that has been being prepared, the opportunity that has been being positioned, the door that has been being unlocked from the inside, the divine connection that has been being directed toward your path, the healing that has been being released, the clarity that has been being assembled, the restoration that has been being orchestrated, all of it approaching simultaneously. No signs, no warnings, no advance notice, no gentle build-up that allows you to gradually adjust to its arrival. Just presence, the sudden, unmistakable presence of everything that has your name on it landing in your reality all at once. And the reason there are no signs and no warnings is not because God is careless with his timing. It is because the ones who are truly ready do not need advance notice. You are not receiving warning because you are already standing in the right position. The preparation is done. The readiness is established. An advance warning would only give the enemy additional time to manufacture doubt about what is coming. So it is arriving without announcement. And when it lands, everything shifts in a single breath. But I need to address the hidden agreement that has been operating beneath your faith, because this might be the most important thing I say in this entire message. You have been believing God, while secretly believing you are the exception to God. Let that land fully before you push back against it. You believe the testimonies. When someone else shares their breakthrough, their divine provision, their sudden reversal, their unexpected open door, you feel genuine joy for them. You say amen. You agree that God is faithful. You affirm that miracles are real. You celebrate what he did in their life with a sincerity that is not performative. But somewhere beneath all of that surface level faith, buried under layers of genuine belief, there's a hidden contract. An agreement you made with disappointment that you signed without fully realizing you were signing it. And it reads like this: God does all of that for people, just not for people like me. Maybe it is because of something in your past, a mistake that feels too big to be fully covered, a season that left marks you're not sure grace can fully reach, a choice that still haunts you in the quiet moments when there is nothing to distract you from its memory. Maybe it is because you have been disappointed before. You believed with everything in you. You prayed specifically and expectantly. You stood on the promise and watched the thing you were believing for either not arrive or arrive for someone else. And each time that happened, each time the promise seemed to move around you rather than toward you, you took it as evidence. Confirmation, proof that you were the asterisk, the fine print, the The special case where the general rule does not apply, and that agreement has been operating like a ceiling. Invisible, directly above your head, close enough that blessings can circulate in your atmosphere. Close enough that you can sense what is available, but just low enough that nothing can fully land. Not because God agreed with the ceiling. He never did. He never will. But because you kept building it higher every time something did not arrive on your expected timeline. Chosen one, that ceiling is not real. It never was. It was constructed entirely out of misread disappointment. Out of pain that told you a story about yourself that was never true. Out of seasons that were designed to be preparation but got interpreted as rejection. Out of silences that were designed to be formation but got experienced as abandonment. The enemy built that ceiling out of your own pain and handed you the construction materials in the form of unanswered questions and unexplained delays. And he has been depending on you to keep reinforcing it, because as long as you believe you are the exception, you will never fully open your hands to receive what already has your name on it. Let me show you what I mean through someone who should have known better than anyone what it felt like to be the exception. Go back to Elijah at Mount Carmel. Here is a man who has just experienced the most dramatic, undeniable, publicly witnessed demonstration of divine power his generation had ever seen. He called down fire from heaven in front of the entire nation. The prophets of Baal failed for hours. He stepped forward and spoke a single prayer, and the fire fell. Not a small flame, an all-consuming, licking up the water in the trench, burning through the stones, undeniable fire that left no room for interpretation. He should have been the last person on earth to doubt his own standing before God. And then one woman sent him a message. Jezebel, one human queen with no supernatural power, no divine authority, nothing but a threat delivered through a messenger. And Elijah ran. He collapsed under a juniper tree in the wilderness and said, "Take my life. It is enough. I'm the only one left." After the fire from heaven, after the rain from a clear sky, after the most spectacular demonstration of divine faithfulness his generation witnessed, he felt like the exception, singled out, isolated, alone in a crowd of people who seemed to be more protected than he was. Does that sound familiar? The moments when God showed up most dramatically in your life are sometimes the very moments that feel most distant in the face of a new threat. Because the enemy knows that if he can make you feel like the exception right after your greatest victory, he can make you build the highest ceiling of all. But notice what God did not do. He did not rebuke Elijah. He did not remind him of what just happened. He did not tell him to get it together or point to the evidence and ask why he was still afraid. He sent an angel. He fed him. He let him sleep. And when Elijah was strengthened, he said something that contained no condemnation but carried enormous information. The journey ahead is too great for you. Not an insult. Information. What is coming requires more than you are currently carrying. And the invitation was not to muster up what he did not have, but to receive what he needed before taking another step. Chosen one, that is your invitation right now. Stop striving to qualify for what already has your name on it. Stop trying to become worthy of what was given before you ever existed. Stop reinforcing the ceiling that was never real with the weight of your own self-doubt. Receive. That is the word for this moment. Not achieve, not earn, not finally become good enough. Receive. Open your hands all the way. Both of them. Let the posture of your spirit shift from striving to receiving, from performing to accepting, from hoping you qualify to knowing you were always the intended recipient. Now I need to speak to the posture that positions you to receive what is approaching. Because being ready is not passive, is not sitting quietly in spiritual neutrality, waiting for heaven to act while you observe. It is an active, deliberate, intentional positioning of your spirit in alignment with what has already been decreed. It is the bold stance of someone who knows the verdict has already been read in the courts of heaven and is now simply waiting for the physical realm to catch up to the spiritual reality. There is a distinction that will change everything about how you carry yourself in this season. Most people are fighting for their breakthrough. You are about to start fighting from it. Fighting for something means you are operating from lack, from the posture of someone who does not yet have what they need and is trying to obtain it. Every prayer prayed from that posture carries the frequency of not yet. Every declaration spoken from that position broadcasts insufficiency. And the enemy loves it when chosen ones fight for breakthrough, because it means they are exhausting their spiritual energy, trying to obtain something that has already been given. Fighting for breakthrough means something entirely different. It means you are operating from the settled, unshakable reality of what has already been decreed over your life in the spiritual realm. It means your prayers are not petitions from a beggar, but declarations from an heir. It means your declarations are not wishful thinking, but legal agreements with what heaven already decided. It means your faith is not hope that God might come through, but knowing that He already has, and you're simply standing in the physical manifestation, catching up to the spiritual reality. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Go back to Elijah on the mountain, before the rain came, before a single cloud appeared in that relentlessly blue sky, before any meteorological evidence suggested that anything was about to change. He told the king to get up and eat, because he could hear the sound of an abundance of rain. He heard it in the spirit before it manifested in the natural. He was not creating the rain with his words. He was not speaking it into existence out of his own spiritual authority. He was declaring what heaven had already decided and simply aligning himself with the decree that already existed. That is where you are standing right now. You are in the space between the decree and the manifestation, between what heaven already spoke and what earth is about to display, between what God already decided and what your eyes are about to see. And in that space, your job is not to beg, not to plead, not to convince God to do something He already did. Your job is to hear what was already said and speak in agreement with it, to align your voice with the voice of heaven, to declare what is already true, even though the physical evidence has not arrived yet. And chosen one, that declaration, that act of agreeing out loud with what heaven already decreed, that is not just spiritually significant. It is the final step in a process that has been building toward this exact moment. Let me speak now about the people and the things that are approaching, because they are not generic. They are specific, customized, tailored to the exact shape of your story, the exact nature of your calling, the exact dimensions of the assignment you were sent here to fulfill. They include people, specific, strategically positioned, divinely directed individuals who are already moving toward your life. Some of them you know and have lost touch with. Some of them you have never met. Some of them are in rooms you have not yet been invited into. Some of them are carrying exactly what your next season requires: the resources, the opportunities, the connections, the doors, the endorsements. And they're being directed by a hand they can feel but cannot see toward a meeting that looks like coincidence from the outside and carries the fingerprint of God from the inside. They include opportunities, doors that have been being unlocked from the inside while you waited outside, rooms that have been being prepared for your arrival while you wondered if you would ever be invited, assignments that have been being held in reserve because the person who was meant to carry them had not yet been fully formed. Those doors are swinging open. Those rooms are ready. Those assignments have your name on them, and the timing has arrived. They include restorations, things that were taken, things that were lost, things that were stolen in seasons when you did not have the spiritual authority to protect them, things you grieved and accepted as permanent losses. They're coming back, not in exactly the same form, because God does not restore to the same dimension He lifted you from. He restores to a greater dimension. He restores with interest. He restores with the compounded return of every season of patient faithfulness added to the principle of what was originally taken. Joel 2 verse 25 says, "I will restore the years the locust has eaten." Not some of the years, not the recent years, all of the years, every season of loss, every chapter of lack, every period where the enemy consumed what should have been yours, all of it being returned at once in a convergence of restoration so complete that the years of loss will look small next to the abundance of the return. And they include clarity, the fog that has been sitting over your sense of direction, the confusion about what to do next, the inability to see clearly which way to move, that is lifting. What is approaching brings with it a sudden, overwhelming, disorienting, in the best possible way clarity about who you are, what you're called to, where you're supposed to direct your energy, and how the pieces of your story that have seemed disconnected and random and purposeless actually fit together into something breathtaking. The confusion was not permanent. It was protection. It kept you from moving in the wrong direction during the season when God was positioning you for the right one. And now that the positioning is complete, the clarity is arriving with it. Now, chosen one, I want to address those of you who are watching this at your most depleted. The ones for whom staying until the end of this message is genuinely costly, because the weight you have been carrying has drained your reserves in ways that make even sustained attention feel like an effort. The ones who are not just tired from the waiting, but tired in their bones from everything the waiting season has required of them. The ones who have given out more than came in for long enough that the deficit is real and deep and not easily addressed by inspiration alone. I see you. And more importantly, the God who sent you this message sees you. He is not asking you to perform strength you do not have. He is not asking you to manufacture enthusiasm about the breakthrough when the exhaustion is real. He is not asking you to pretend the weight was not heavy or that the season was not as long as it actually was. He is asking something much simpler and much more profound. Receive. That is all. Just receive. Open your hands without requiring yourself to feel something specific. Open your spirit without performing a particular emotional response. Just be here in this moment with whatever you actually have, and let what is being sent find you exactly where you are. Because here is the truth about divine provision that religion sometimes obscures. It does not require your best. It requires your yes. The Father in Luke 15 did not wait for the prodigal son to arrive in a condition that made receiving him appropriate. He ran while the son was still a long way off, while the son was still carrying the evidence of every bad decision in his posture and his clothes and his smell. The Father ran, not when the son cleaned up, not when the son proved he had changed, while he was still a long way off. You do not need to clean yourself up before this arrives. You do not need to reach a certain level of spiritual readiness that you have not yet attained. You do not need to stop being tired or stop doubting or stop carrying the weight of the questions that have not been answered. You are received as you are, in this moment, with everything you are carrying and everything you are not. The only thing the Father needed to see was his son turning toward home. And chosen one, the fact that you're still here, the fact that you chose this message over the distraction, the fact that you have stayed through every urge to click away, that is you turning toward home. And he is running to meet you. Now here is the verdict. This is the decree that has already been read over your life in the courts of heaven. And you're hearing it now in this physical realm, so that what was bound above can be loosed below, so that what was decided in the spiritual can manifest in the natural, so that the gap between the decree and the physical reality can collapse in the time it takes you to agree with what has already been spoken. The assignment against you is canceled. Every scheme that was designed to steal from you, to delay what is yours, to keep you confused about your identity, to make you believe you are the exception, to rob you of the courage to receive what already has your name on it. Null, void, finished, done. The delay has expired. It ran its course. The clock hit zero. The season of waiting is complete. And what has been approaching your life, what has been in motion in the spiritual realm for longer than you know, is arriving now. Without signs, without warnings, without advance notice. It is just going to show up. And when it does, you're going to know. Not because of a dramatic feeling or a thunderclap or a sudden overwhelming emotion, but because of the peace. The specific, unmistakable, surpasses all understanding peace that only arrives when what is real finally aligns with what was promised. The peace that Philippians 4 verse 7 describes as guarding your heart and mind. Not a peace you manufacture, a peace that arrives as a guard, as a sentinel, as confirmation that what just showed up at your door was sent from the right address. You're going to know. Now, place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. That rhythm is the sound of a chosen one who made it through, who stayed through every manufactured urge to leave, who resisted the jealous energy that tried to stop this divine meeting from completing, who chose in this moment, this specific appointed moment, to receive rather than to protect, to believe rather than to brace, to open rather than to guard. And now speak this with everything in you, out loud. Let your own ears hear your own voice declaring what heaven has already decided. I am not the exception. I never was. The lie is over, and I refuse to rebuild the ceiling that was never real. Every prayer I prayed in private when no one was watching has been collected. Not one was ignored. Not one was wasted. Not one fell to the ground without being heard and held and answered in the appointed time. The silence I walked through is not God abandoning me. It was God forming me into the precise vessel that could hold what is coming without spilling it. The restraint I showed when everything in me wanted to react was not weakness. It was the final signature on the document that removed every remaining obstacle between me and what is approaching. I release every agreement I made with disappointment. I release every ceiling I've built from misread delays. I release every narrative that told me I was too much or not enough or too flawed or too late. Those were lies dressed as wisdom, and I am done wearing them. I declare that they are approaching now. The blessings that have my name on them, the people being directed toward my path, the doors being unlocked from the inside, the provisions being released from the storehouse of heaven, the clarity that dissolves the fog, the restorations that return what was taken with supernatural interest. I declare that I am standing in the right position at the right time, that I am ready not because I finally became worthy, but because I was always the intended recipient, that the preparation is complete and the manifestation is arriving. I receive all of it, without qualification, without apology, without waiting for a level of worthiness that was never the requirement. The door is open, wide open, and I walk through it now. In the name of Jesus Christ, every word of this decree is sealed. Every promise is confirmed. Every approaching blessing is received. It is done. Amen. Chosen one, you made it. You stayed through every manufactured distraction. You resisted every jealous energy that tried to tell you this was not for you. You finished what Jesus asked you to finish. And that choice, that single, powerful, faith-filled choice to stay until the very end, has shifted something in the spiritual realm over your life that you may not feel immediately, but that is absolutely real and absolutely permanent. Now go to the comments and leave something. It does not have to be long. It does not have to be eloquent or perfectly worded. Just something that seals what just happened in this message. Something that declares publicly that you were here, you received this, and you are no longer operating from the posture of the exception. Leave this in the comments right now. I am not the exception. They are approaching, and I am ready to receive everything that has my name on it. Not as a comment, as a declaration, as a public agreement with heaven that locks the door on everything that just broke off of your life and opens the door to everything that is now approaching it. Share this with the chosen one in your life who has been standing in that same suspended gap between what was and what was promised, who has been feeling the heaviness without understanding what it means, who has been interpreting the silence as abandonment when it was actually formation. Your willingness to share this message might be the single most significant spiritual act you perform for someone today. Subscribe, because this is not the last word heaven has for you through this channel. The continuation of what just began in this message is coming, and you're going to want to be present when it does. You're not the exception. You never were. They're approaching fast, and you're exactly ready. 8,000 words, ready for voiceover production, studio microphone, fire in a black speech bubble.